In this video, we will be going over how to properly administer oxygen via high-flow nasal cannula using the Biomed TV100 ventilator and Fisher & Paykel heater humidifier. Upon completion of this video, you will be able to identify each piece of equipment, assemble the equipment in a proper manner, and use the TV100 ventilator and Fisher & Paykel heater humidifier to deliver the set prescription. In order to treat a patient using high-flow nasal cannula, we need a few things. To start, we need a ventilator with the high-flow nasal cannula mode. Our department now uses the TV100, which has this mode. On the side of the TV100 is an O2 inlet connector. Here you attach the 50 psi pressure oxygen tubing, and the other end attaches to either your oxygen tank or oxygen flow meter found on the wall at the hospital. You will also need a heater and humidifier. Studies have found that increased humidification resulted in increased water content in mucus, which can facilitate secretion removal and may even decrease the work of breathing. This can also avoid airway epithelial injury. For our purposes, we will be using the Fisher Paykel heater and humidifier. A high-flow nasal cannula circuit and reservoir will come packaged together. This pack will include 3 limbs: long, medium, and short. The short limb does not need to be used, and the medium limb is the preferred limb. There will also be a chamber inside this package. Sterile water is also needed. Be sure that the bag that you have says sterile water and inhalation on it, as seen here. Sterile water for inhalation is prepared for water for injection packaged and rendered sterile. Sterile water for inhalation is typically intended for use in inhalers and in preparation of inhalation solution, and is tested for conductivity, bacterial endotoxin testing, oxidizable substances, and sterility. However, it carries a less stringent specification for bacterial endotoxins than sterile water for injection, and therefore is not suitable for parenteral injections. There will be 2 boxes containing cables. One will contain a blue sensor, and the other a yellow sensor. In the box that is shaped like a stick of butter contains the blue sensor. The blue sensor is used as a temperature probe. This wire also has a chamber probe attached to it. This controls the amount of power delivered to the heater plate in order to maintain the chamber set point. In the flat box contains the heater wire adapter. This adapter reads the humidified gas from the chamber that travels through the inspiratory limb, where its temperature is maintained in order to prevent the generated humidity from condensing. The humidifier maintains this temperature along the inspiratory limb by monitoring the temperature at the airway probe and controlling the power delivered to the heater wire. Lastly, we have the nasal cannulas. We will have 2 sizes indicated by the encircled letters in the top left corner of the packaging: small and medium.
Alright, so I'm Dr. Barbara, this is Sam DiSilvestro, and this is for our patient Jack. We're going to be teaching high-flow nasal cannula using a Biomed TV100 vent setup, including the circuit setup with the heater humidifier. Sam's going to be doing the patient operations, and I'm going to be assisting. A high-flow nasal cannula we're using for non-aerosol generating procedures for augmented oxygenation and ventilation during interfacility transport. Before you do this, we should have a sign out from the respiratory therapist regarding the settings and the patient's reactions and status on the existing high-flow nasal cannula setting in the sending facility.
So in this package, you'll find your circuit and your heated humidified reservoir for the heater. Okay, so everything will come packaged up like this, and this is what it looks like when you take it out of the package, all wrapped up. So we take this piece off.
I think you just put your finger in there.
This thing, right?
Yep, hold on, back up.
There we go. The prongs come right out. And then you unravel. And then this is what you would use to spike your sterile water. And you have to make sure the bag says inhalation on it, because this is you can't just use normal saline. This is sterile water.
IV fluids.
Right. Okay, so you spike the bag. And here you go. So it would fill.
We're gonna leave it flat so
Right.
it doesn't leak right now.
So it would fill, and you have, take this piece off, it stays there. And then this device here, your reservoir, is gonna go into
The heater.
your heater. Make sure you press down, and it clicks, and it's in.
When we turn the heater on, there's two settings that need to be, it's both for invasive or non-invasive. Appears to preset at the invasive setting, which is a higher temperature than will be tolerated by a non-invasive patient. So we're going to press and hold the invasive button and have the green light identify that we're at a non-invasive setting, which is a temperature of about 30 to 34 degrees Celsius. The invasive setting is 37, which would be uncomfortable for the non-invasive patient to have. The rest of this requires additional work to set up the heater, which we're going to demonstrate now. So the humidification point is done at this point. The heater has two items.
So here, we have this set up here, your yellow prong, which will go on the side here.
This is the device that provides heat to the circuit.
Here, and then you have your,
This is the temperature sensor from the circuit to help the machine identify what temperature to reach. So this is going to be essentially the thermostat in your house, whereas the yellow plug is the furnace in your house. Provides heat, senses heat. To continue the setup, we're going to reach into our remaining circuit bag and take out the long limb first. There's 3 limbs, a long, a medium, and a short. The short limb does not need to be used. The medium limb is preferable, so we're going to start with the long limb. The Y connector here is going to connect to either of these ports.
so this sensor here will go into this prong over here, twist, and push.
And a click.
It should, wait, hold on, it's not,
You got it.
oh, there we go, okay. Yeah,
So the yellow, the triple
here it is.
plug. Now, mind you, this heater has 2 outputs, one of which we're not going to use. The dual output just is to be ignored. The triple output goes into the corresponding plug on the beginning of the circuit. This is what provides heat to the circuit from the device with the humidified inhalation sterile water coming out of the circuit and the sensor to modulate the temperature as needed to reach your intended goal.
So this port is gonna go, this prong is gonna go into here,
This is
into your circuit.
the patient end of the circuit.
And then what you can do is you can put there's clips on here. So you can have the wire attached to it so it's not flailing from the circuit.
The circuit attaches to a nasal cannula. There's multiple sizes. We're using a medium for Jack today. I'm going to tear it open. Sam, if you could apply that to Jack.
I'm going to be putting a nasal cannula in your nose, okay?
thank you.
Pull this out. Alright. You see how the prongs go in, spin it around, and then you can tighten depending on the patient. There's straps here to make it tighter. Okay, so this is the vent, the TV100. What we're gonna do is we're gonna turn it on. You have an on-off button here. The light will turn green. All right. Then once it loads. Okay, so this is the beginning. You'll see new patient and previous patient. New patient. We are not going to use the previous patient setting. So new patient, which is already on. So adult. Continue. So here we are, mode. And these are all your settings. And we're going to go to high flow nasal cannula. And then hit OK. All right, so now you're at the main screen. So your flow rate, whatever the prescription will say, we're going to be starting mostly at 60 liters per minute. So you're going to go to flow, and then your flow is set to 15, but you could change it. So 60, and then OK. Continue. Yes.
I'm going to hook up the rest of the circuit,
Yes.
and I'm going to hook up the oxygen to the hard line here.
So you can use the filter, it's just added protection, or you can just hook up the small line to the vent. But most of us will put the filter to the vent. So what you do is you take the filter on the end here, tubing through here. So this connection will go to the top here.
It would be reasonable to set this up on a hard oxygen line, a wall oxygen, initially, to make sure the patient's tolerating the procedure and the transition to our circuit. And after the patient's tolerating the circuit, you can disconnect the oxygen supply to an E-tank for transport. Time frame on an E-tank at about 60 liters per minute and 80% FiO2 gives you about 10 minutes. So if you think about your elevator time or your vertical response, your vertical egress time from the sending facility, you don't want to start putting it on an E-tank. Definitely get the patient acclimated to our setup up front using the wall oxygen, and then when you're ready for transition, switch your oxygen over and begin your egress and your transport. All right.
Okay, so we have it set to 60 liters per minute. Oxygen at 21. You can also change this here by pressing this button. Oxygen. So you can change your setting here. We'll put it at 100%. So 100. Here's your setting, and then hit OK. Changed over 30%. Continue. Yes. Okay.
Discuss the settings with the respiratory therapist, and any incremental changes, refer to the protocol as written.
Okay.
And that completes the setup for the high flow nasal cannula using a TV100 transport ventilator. Any questions, reach out to us directly or training department directly.
And it would be beneficial if the patient can tolerate it to titrate to a lower FiO2 to extend the time we have on our tanks.
Upon completion of your call after using high flow nasal cannula, please fill out the quick survey that is attached to the protocol and this video. There will be a link in the description of this video, and if you are unable to scan this code. As always, if you have any questions or concerns about high flow nasal cannula, please reach out to the training department. Thanks for watching.